Welcome back. Rare coin. Inside of the story of the 1983 D Lincoln 1-cent coin begins during one of the most dramatic transitions in American coin history, a time when the United States Mint was facing rising metal prices, economic pressure, and a serious problem that most ordinary people never even noticed. For decades, the American penny had been made primarily of copper, carrying the familiar reddish-brown appearance that collectors loved and recognized instantly. But by the early 1980s, the cost of copper had increased so much that producing a single cent was becoming too expensive for the government. The mint realized it could not continue making billions of copper pennies while losing money on every coin struck, and that decision led to one of the biggest changes ever made to the Lincoln cent series. The year 1982 became the transition year, where both copper and zinc versions were produced, and by 1983 the new composition had officially taken over. That is exactly why the 1983 D1 coin holds such an important place in coin collecting history, because it belongs to the first full year of the modern zinc Lincoln cent era, a period that changed the future of American coins forever. When collectors first look at the 1983 D penny, many think it appears ordinary, almost too common to be valuable, but hidden behind its simple appearance is a fascinating story involving minting errors, rarity discoveries, and shocking auction prices that transform certain versions of this coin into legendary treasures worth huge amounts of money. Millions upon millions of these pennies were produced at the Denver Mint in Colorado, which is represented by the small D mint mark located beneath the date on the obverse side of the coin. That tiny letter tells collectors exactly where the coin was struck, and for experts it immediately separates this coin from the Philadelphia version made the same year. The Denver Mint produced more than 7 billion Lincoln cents in 1983, making it one of the highest mintage years in American coin history, and because of that enormous production number, most people assume every 1983 D penny is practically worthless. In ordinary circulated condition, that assumption is mostly true, because billions still survive today in jars, piggy banks, drawers, and old collections across the United States. Yet within this ocean of common pennies, there are rare examples and rare varieties that can command extraordinary prices, turning a single cent into something collectors desperately search for. The Lincoln cent itself has one of the richest histories of any American coin. Introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln, it became the first regular United States coin to feature a real historical person instead of symbolic imagery. Before Lincoln appeared on the penny, American coins traditionally displayed figures like Lady Liberty. But the arrival of Lincoln changed everything. The design was created by sculptor Victor David Brenner, whose initials, VDB, became famous among collectors after controversy surrounding their placement on early 1909 coins. By the time the 1983 D penny was produced, the Lincoln cent had already been circulating for more than 70 years, becoming deeply connected to everyday American life. Children collected them, adults saved them, and nearly everyone in America handled pennies regularly, without realizing some would eventually become highly collectible treasures. The obverse side of the 1983 D penny features Abraham Lincoln facing to the right, his profile instantly recognizable around the world. Above his head appears the word, Liberty, while the phrase, In God We Trust, curves along the upper edge of the coin. The year, 1983, sits beside Lincoln's shoulder, with a tiny D mint mark directly below the date. Although the design seems simple, collectors study every detail closely, searching for differences in lettering, spacing, strike quality, and unusual characteristics that might indicate a valuable variety. The reverse side of the coin displays the famous Lincoln Memorial design, introduced in 1959 to honor the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The memorial appears centered on the reverse, with the words, United States of America, above and 1 cent, below. If you look carefully inside the memorial between the pillars, you can actually see a tiny representation of the Lincoln statue sitting inside, a remarkable detail considering the coin's tiny size. One of the most important details about the 1983 penny is its weight and metal composition, because these factors connect directly to some of the most valuable examples ever discovered. Prior to the composition change, older Lincoln cents were made mostly of copper and weighed approximately 3.11 grams. Beginning in 1982 and continuing into 1983, the mint switched to a copper-plated zinc composition weighing only 2.5 grams. The new coins contained a zinc core coated with a very thin layer of copper, giving them the same familiar appearance while dramatically reducing production costs. This lighter composition also created new problems. Zinc cents were more vulnerable to corrosion, bubbling, plating damage, and deterioration over time. Many people noticed that newer pennies looked duller or developed strange spots and peeling surfaces compared to older copper coins. Despite those issues, the mint continued using the zinc composition because it was far cheaper and more practical for mass production. Collectors today often weigh their 1983 pennies carefully using sensitive digital scales, because weight can instantly reveal whether a coin might be unusual or even extremely valuable. Imagine finding a 1983 penny that weighs closer to the older copper standard instead of the expected zinc weight. Such a discovery would create massive excitement among collectors because it could indicate an extremely rare transitional error. During periods when the mint changed compositions, leftover planchets from earlier years sometimes accidentally entered production lines. This means a small number of coins from a new year could theoretically be struck on the wrong metal blanks. Transitional errors are among the most valuable coins in American numismatics because they represent mistakes that were never intended to exist. The 1983 copper transitional cent became one of the most talked about coin discoveries ever. While most 1983 pennies were supposed to be zinc, a tiny number were accidentally struck on leftover copper planchets from 1982. These rare copper examples weigh approximately 3.11 grams instead of 2.5 grams, instantly distinguishing them from ordinary pennies. Experts authenticated these coins after careful metallurgical testing, and once collectors realized genuine examples existed, demand exploded across the hobby. A real 1983 copper penny became worth thousands, then tens of thousands, and eventually even more depending on condition and certification. The possibility that similar transitional errors might exist from the Denver Mint added another layer of mystery surrounding the 1983 penny, causing collectors everywhere to examine their pocket change with renewed excitement. Another reason the 1983 penny gained attention involves error coins and doubled die varieties. In coin collecting, a doubled die occurs when the coin die receives multiple impressions during its creation process that are slightly misaligned, causing visible doubling on letters, numbers, or design elements. Some doubled die coins become incredibly famous because the doubling is dramatic enough to see with the naked eye. Collectors spend years searching through rolls of pennies hoping to discover these hidden treasures. Certain 1983 doubled die reverse pennies became especially famous because the doubling appeared strongly on the lettering of the reverse side. The words 1 cent and United States of America displayed clear separation and doubling that made the variety highly desirable among collectors. Although the most famous doubled die variety is usually associated with the Philadelphia Mint version, interest spilled over into all 1983 pennies, including Denver examples. Coin hunters began studying every detail under magnification, checking for unusual lettering, die cracks, off-center strikes, repunched mint marks, and countless other minting anomalies. Some collectors spent entire weekends searching through bank rolls, convinced they might discover a forgotten rarity hiding among ordinary cents. This treasure hunting aspect is one reason coin collecting remains so addictive. Every coin carries the possibility, however small, that it could be worth far more than its face value. Condition also plays a massive role in determining the value of a 1983 penny. Most circulated examples are heavily worn, scratched, stained, or damaged after decades of use. These coins usually remain worth only 1 cent unless they possess an important error. However, pristine uncirculated examples with sharp details, original mint luster, and strong eye appeal can command surprisingly high premiums. Professional grading companies such as PCGS and NGC carefully examine coins and assign numerical grades based on preservation quality. Coins graded MS65, MS66, or higher become especially desirable because finding perfectly preserved examples from heavily produced years can actually be difficult. Tiny marks, weak strikes, or discoloration can lower a grade dramatically, so top-quality survivors attract serious collector demand. Some of the highest-grade 1983 pennies have sold for hundreds, or even thousands of dollars depending on rarity, certification, and auction competition. While ordinary circulated pieces remain common, elite condition examples become scarce because most coins entered circulation immediately after production. Collectors seeking registry sets compete intensely for the finest known specimens, driving prices upward whenever superior examples appear at auction. Registry collecting transformed modern coin markets because collectors now compete online to build the highest-ranked sets certified by grading services. Even seemingly ordinary modern coins can become valuable if they represent the best-known examples in existence. The mention of $199 million often appears in sensational online videos and articles discussing rare coins, and while such claims are usually exaggerated or misunderstood, they reflect the enormous fascination people have with hidden treasure stories. In reality, no known 1983 penny has sold anywhere near that figure, but extraordinary error coins from American history have achieved astonishing prices. The excitement surrounding potentially valuable pennies encourages millions of people to check old jars and collections, hoping they might uncover a life-changing discovery. Some rare Lincoln cents have indeed sold for hundreds of thousands, or even over $1 million under exceptional circumstances, especially when unique mint errors or historically important varieties are involved. The psychology behind coin collecting adds another layer to the story. A single penny feels insignificant in everyday life, often ignored or discarded without thought. Yet collectors see these small copper-colored discs as miniature time capsules carrying history, artistry, economics, and human error all at once. The 1983 penny represents an important turning point in American coinage technology, reflecting a moment when economic necessity forced the mint to abandon traditional copper composition in favor of cheaper zinc production. Every scratch and mark on surviving examples tells part of a journey through cash registers, pockets, vending machines, banks, and households across America during the 1980s. And for some collectors, the dream never truly fades, because somewhere out there, hidden among billions of ordinary pennies, another rare transitional error or extraordinary mint mistake could still be waiting to be discovered by someone patient enough to look closely. As the years passed after the release of the 1983 Lincoln cent, collectors slowly began realizing that this coin represented far more than just another ordinary penny from the 1980s. What made the story even more fascinating was the fact that most people never paid attention to these coins when they first entered circulation. Pennies moved through stores, gas stations, restaurants, banks, and vending machines every single day, tossed into drawers and forgotten in jars without a second thought. Yet hidden inside that endless river of small change were coins carrying tiny differences capable of turning an ordinary cent into a collector's dream. That possibility transformed the 1983 penny into a modern treasure hunt, where anyone with patience, knowledge, and sharp observation could potentially uncover something remarkable. One of the most important things collectors examine on a 1983 penny is the quality of the strike. Coin striking may sound simple, but the process is actually extremely technical. Inside the mint, massive presses strike blank planchets under enormous pressure using engraved dies. If the pressure is slightly off, if the dies are worn, or if the planchet moves incorrectly, unusual results can occur. On some 1983 pennies, weak strikes cause portions of the design to appear soft or incomplete. On others, over-polished dies created faded details. Then, there are the rare and exciting mint errors that collectors truly dream about discovering. Off-center strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, broad strikes, and double strikes all became possible during high-speed production. Every minting mistake tells a story about a split-second mechanical error inside the Denver Mint decades ago. Among the most valuable error categories are transitional composition errors. Because the mint had only recently switched from copper to zinc planchets, collectors remained obsessed with the possibility that some old copper blanks accidentally survived in storage bins or machinery before being struck with 1983 dies. A genuine 1983 copper cent would represent one of the most important modern Lincoln cent discoveries ever made. Experts still debate how many may exist, and stories continue circulating among collectors about mysterious examples appearing in private hands. This uncertainty fuels endless searching. Thousands of hobbyists weigh every 1983 penny they find, hoping to see the magical 3.11 gram reading instead of the standard 2.5 grams. Most turn out normal, but the excitement of possibility keeps the hunt alive. The weight difference matters because it reveals the hidden structure of the coin itself. The standard 1983 penny contains a core made mostly of zinc with only a thin copper coating. Over time, damage to this plating can expose the grayish zinc underneath, creating bubbles, corrosion, or rough surfaces. Many people have seen modern pennies turning dark or developing strange spots without realizing the reason comes directly from the zinc core reacting to moisture and air. Older copper cents age differently, often developing rich brown or reddish tones that collectors admire. Because of this, many numismatists prefer pre-1982 copper cents over later zinc versions, believing they possess greater durability and historical character. Yet despite criticism of the zinc composition, the 1983 penny became historically important precisely because it marked the beginning of a new era. America was changing economically during the early 1980s. Inflation, manufacturing costs, and industrial metal prices affected everything from food to transportation, and coin production was no exception. The mint had to adapt or risk spending more producing coins than the coins themselves were worth. That practical economic decision changed the physical nature of the American penny forever. In many ways, the 1983 cent represents survival through adaptation, a symbol of how even small everyday objects evolve alongside national economic realities. Collectors also study the color classifications of Lincoln cents carefully. Coins are often categorized as red, red-brown, or brown depending on how much original mint luster remains. A fully red 1983 penny with bright original surfaces can command a strong premium in high mint state grades because preserving that fresh appearance over decades is surprisingly difficult. Exposure to air, humidity, fingerprints, or improper storage gradually changes the coin's color. This means truly pristine examples become scarcer every year. Some collectors store valuable pennies in climate-controlled safes, protective holders, or specialized albums designed to slow environmental damage. Others send their finest coins to professional grading services where they are authenticated, encapsulated, and permanently preserved inside tamper-resistant holders. The grading process itself transformed coin collecting into a highly competitive marketplace. Professional coin grading service and Numismatic Guarantee Company became trusted authorities capable of certifying authenticity and condition. When a rare or exceptionally preserved 1983 penny receives a top population grade, collectors around the world notice immediately. Auction houses then market these coins aggressively, emphasizing rarity, strike quality, eye appeal, and population reports. Sometimes bidding wars erupt between registry-set collectors determined to own the absolute finest known example. In those moments, a simple penny becomes a prized historical artifact commanding astonishing prices. Stories surrounding valuable pennies often sound unbelievable to ordinary people. There have been countless cases where rare coins were discovered in pocket change, inherited collections, forgotten jars, or even cash register trays. One person might unknowingly spend a valuable error coin at a convenience store while another sharp-eyed collector recognizes its importance instantly. These stories spread rapidly online and through collector communities because they feed a universal dream, the idea that hidden treasure might still exist in everyday life. The 1983 penny fits perfectly into that fantasy because billions were produced, meaning almost anyone could theoretically still find an important variety. Another fascinating aspect of the 1983 penny is its connection to the broader Lincoln cent series, one of the longest-running coin designs in American history. Generations of Americans grew up carrying Lincoln cents, using them in candy machines, school cafeterias, laundromats, arcades, and parking meters. The penny became deeply tied to childhood memories and everyday commerce. Collectors often begin their hobby through Lincoln cents because the series feels approachable and nostalgic. A child searching through spare change might discover a wheat cent from the 1940s, then become curious about dates, mint marks, and values. That curiosity grows into a lifelong passion for history and numismatics. The Denver Mint itself also plays a major role in the story. Established during the gold and silver boom of the American West, the Denver Mint eventually became one of the most productive coin manufacturing facilities in the world. Coins carrying the D. Mint mark traveled across the country in enormous quantities, entering circulation by the billions. During the early 1980s, production demands were incredibly high, meaning mint workers and machinery operated at intense speeds. Under such conditions, mistakes inevitably occurred. Worn dies, improperly aligned planchets, and mechanical malfunctions occasionally created coins with unusual appearances that escaped into circulation unnoticed. Those accidental creations later became treasures hunted by collectors decades afterward. The market value of the 1983 penny depends entirely on condition and rarity. A heavily circulated example with ordinary ware may only be worth face value. A bright uncirculated specimen might sell for a few dollars. Higher grade mint state examples certified by major grading companies can reach significantly higher prices, especially if they possess exceptional eye appeal. Error varieties create the most dramatic jumps in value. Certain major mint errors or transitional compositions can sell for thousands, tens of thousands, or more depending on authenticity and demand. This enormous value gap between ordinary and rare examples explains why collectors inspect these coins so carefully. The internet age increased interest in coins, like the 1983 penny even further. Online videos, auctions, forums, and social media expose millions of people to stories about rare coins worth huge amounts of money. Suddenly, people who had never cared about numismatics started checking their change. Viral headlines claiming pennies worth millions created excitement worldwide, even if many stories exaggerated actual market values. Still, the core truth remained powerful. Some coins genuinely are worth fortunes because of rarity, historical significance, and collector demand. That reality keeps the search alive year after year. There is also something deeply symbolic about the penny itself. Despite being the smallest denomination in American currency, the penny carries enormous emotional and cultural weight. People throw pennies into fountains for luck, save them in jars for years, and teach children financial habits through handfuls of cents. Abraham Lincoln's face on the coin connects modern Americans to one of the nation's most respected presidents, while the coin's survival through changing economies reflects endurance and continuity. The 1983 penny may seem tiny and ordinary, but it carries layers of historical meaning hidden beneath its surface. For advanced collectors, finding a superb 1983 penny is about more than money. It is about preservation, history, and the thrill of discovery. Holding a sharply struck red mint state example can feel like traveling back to 1983, imagining the moment it first left the mint untouched by circulation. Every detail becomes meaningful, from the shine of the copper plating to the precision of Lincoln's profile. Even microscopic imperfections matter, because they separate common examples from elite specimens. And perhaps that is the true reason coins, like the 1983 Lincoln set, continue fascinating people generation after generation. They remind us that extraordinary value can hide inside ordinary objects, unnoticed by almost everyone. A single penny may pass through thousands of hands without attracting attention, yet under the right circumstances it can become a prized collectible worth far beyond its face value. Somewhere, in an old coin jar, forgotten drawer, dusty attic, or bankroll waiting to be searched, another important 1983 penny could still exist, silently carrying its story through time while waiting for someone to finally recognize what it truly is. Best ending. So the next time you see a small brown penny lying unnoticed on a table, hidden beneath couch cushions, or resting at the bottom of your pocket, remember this: history does not always come in the form of gold bars or giant treasures. Sometimes history hides inside the smallest coin in America. The 1983 Lincoln set is proof that even an object people ignore every single day can hold mystery, rarity, and incredible value. From its connection to the great copper to zinc transition, to its hidden error varieties, to the possibility of rare transitional strikes worth astonishing amounts of money, this little coin became far more than just 1 cent. It became a symbol of discovery, curiosity, and the idea that treasure might still be hiding in plain sight. And somewhere out there, another rare 1983 penny may still be waiting to change someone's life forever.